Okay, so this is a update video, and I guess just to answer a couple of comments. I am not a professional YouTuber. You guys can probably obviously sense that. Just a random guy posting videos of stuff that I couldn't find when I was waiting for my car. I ordered this thing back in January when it was announced, and it just came in, so it was a long wait. Finally got it, but so far I absolutely love this car. If you guys are anxiously awaiting your Model S, revised Model S, it's worth it. This car is so much better. And if you have a Model 3 now and you're upgrading to the S, it's definitely an upgrade. It's worth it for sure. You guys will be happy with this car. I guess first things first, the windshield wiper. So it does appear to be touch sensitive. I probably should have known this, but just a light touch does bring up one wipe with no washer jets. Okay, so apparently when you give it a harder press, it will spray. Well, that's pretty simple. So problem solved there. I'm able to actually repeat that. So props to whoever gave me that tip. You were absolutely right. Didn't realize it was pressure sensitive like a two-way switch. So that answers that. I don't need that button right there anymore. What was the other thing? Somebody asked about the lights. I'll run through the lights real quick. Somebody was kind enough to leave a comment or a suggestion that maybe I should put my seatbelt on the passenger side, and that will automatically turn on the passenger zone in the front. And yes, indeed, it worked. So thank you. I will thank you separately, but that is amazing. I know it looks kind of goofy. It's kind of strange, but no one's looking at my car. My windows are so dark anyways. Who cares? Even if someone could see that, I don't care. As long as it keeps that zone on in the front, I love it, because I just forget. It's not that big a deal. I probably eventually learn to remember that. I just keep forgetting. So thank you for that suggestion. Absolutely solid. It works. Let's see. Somebody said, well, why something about drilling a hole in the center console, and no, it's not in the side panel where it's visible. I mean, you'd have to be a real tool to have to do that. These panels all come off. These modern cars are like Lego sets, and this particular panel comes off. And what I would have to do is, because the 12-volt source is inside here, I would have to drill a hole at the base of this storage compartment, just enough, maybe a 1/4 inch, just enough to feed a wire through there and run it behind this fascia panel, which comes off. So you would never see the hole. You would never see any of that. You wouldn't even see the hole in here. It'd be small enough, so it would just, be visible. It wouldn't be visible at all. And it sure beats this nonsense. I just have to figure out a way to run it underneath the dash. Not a big deal. It's just a matter of finding time to do it. This is what my dash is saying. And no, it's not 117 degrees. It's actually 107 or 100. It's a cool, balmy 109 degrees today. It's 117 because I've been sitting here with my car running, and it's probably feeding the heat off of the air conditioner system. So the heat pump system I'm not really fond of. In general, it doesn't seem to cool as well. My 2018 Model 3 dual motor had the regular cooling system. My 2020 Model 3 Performance had the regular cooling system. I think mid 2020 they switched to heat pump, or they updated to heat pump, or they did something. They changed from the silver trim to the black trim, and they added the heat pump. So I guess you get better efficiency in the winter months, which is a plus for all you guys in the colder climates. I do experience some snow where I am, but I don't know. It's so hot that I would rather lose some efficiency and get a really good air conditioning system. I don't think this air conditioner works as well. It takes a lot longer to cool down than the regular system. With, I don't know how the heat pump works, but I'm assuming it's just totally different. I find that the heat pump is really peculiar. Like if I go to 73 degrees, it's always, when it finally cools down, like in the evening or whatever, and I run the air conditioning on a long drive, and you know it's cooled down sufficiently well, at anywhere between 73 and under, I find it's too cold. So I end up changing the air volume manually as opposed to keeping it on automatic, because that's how I kind of regulate temperature now. I keep it at 73, 72, and I regulate with the air volume. Whereas my other two Teslas, the 2020 Model 3 and the 2018 Model 3, this worked quite well. Anywhere from any temperature range, it was able to blend the heat and the cool accordingly and give you kind of what you were asking for. This car, when I put it on 70 up to 73, it's always too cold. At 74, you all of a sudden feel the heat blend in, and at that point it just becomes too warm. So, and I'm not somebody that gets too cold or too hot easily. I work in an office full of women, and I keep the air conditioner at a steady 73, and it depends on the time of day and what's going on. People are always complaining to me it's too cold or too hot, and I'm happy as a clam. I'm totally comfortable. So I generally don't have such huge temperature swings, but this is different. The heat pump behaves differently, and I'm not a huge fan of it during the summer months, at least. I haven't tried it during the winter, so I can't say. But I just don't like that. There seems to be no in between. It's either 73 or 74. 73 and it's cold, or 74 and it's hot. So I just adjust with the air volume. So I don't really use auto too much. So that is that. The lights. Okay, so on to the lights. This car has what I believe to be the same lights as the old generation Model S. They didn't update the lights at all. They look exactly the same. In my opinion, they're not as good as the Model 3 lights. The Model 3 lights, in the screen, and I don't know if you Model 3 owners know this or not, there is actually a manual adjustment mode. There's an auto adjustment, but you can manually adjust your lights slightly up, slightly down to suit your needs. Like if you're on 2-lane, unlit, rural highways, you can aim them just one click up and you get just a little bit more throw without blinding oncoming traffic. And then you get on a nice level parking lot and you hit auto level, it will level out to perfect normal, specs. This car does not have that feature. You can't adjust the lights. In addition, I find that the throw and the spread, the dispersion of the lights on the Model 3 was really even, and it cast a really perfect, just well-lit area in front of the car where there were no hot spots and no weak spots. There were actually perfect lights. They're great lights. And I've had good lights on other cars before, and I've had bad lights on other cars before. I had a Mercedes S63 one time. Man, that thing had terrible lights. I was really surprised, considering that they're, self-leveling xenon projector, whatever they are with the lights that turn and all that stuff. They were awful. But the Model 3 were great lights. And this car, because it's the older generation Model S lights, I think they had different lights on the first version of the Model S, but the up to 2001, up to the redesign, they had a certain style of light, and this is that same light bulb or headlight. And so it does have some hot spots. It does have some weak spots. You can see when you turn the lights on, you can see that they're aimed just a tad low, and there's a hot spot in the center of each headlight, and the Model 3 does not have that at all. It's just a nice even dispersion. So I really love the Model 3 lights. I wish that they had updated the lights in this car, but they're not bad lights. They're just not as good as the Model 3. And they changed all of the lights inside the car. So I don't know what was in the Model S before, but it has these round lights like the Model 3. Okay, this is the same. But under the dash in the Model 3 and the Model S, it had these rectangular lights to light up the footwell. Underneath the door, there was a rectangular light, and in the trunk, there was a rectangular light. And I'll get out and I'll show you what I mean. Oops. So these are the lights from my Model 3. I had bought these aftermarket bulbs They're the Onzium Ultra Bright upgrade kits, and it came with like 9 of these. I took them out before I traded the car in, because Tesla really doesn't care when you trade a car in whether you even have footwell lights in there, but I put the old ones back in. These are about 3 or 4 times brighter than the stock lights. So they were amazing. You open the door, the whole puddle light is super bright. In the footwells, in the trunk, super bright. This car uses a different bulb. They changed the light bulbs in this car. Let's see if I can find them. Oh, right here. They are round. So these lights no longer work. I think this is the trunk release. There's a little cable in here. That's the release for the charge port if you need to manually undo the charge port. So in the trunk, it has those round lights, and underneath the doors, it has the same round light. So these lights no longer work. So if you have Model 3 lights and you planned on using them in your Model S, revised Model S, they don't work. Okay, so that's the lights, and they are a little bit dim for my taste. I would probably replace them. This is my official Tesla roof shade, the sunshade that if you go on the Tesla website under accessories, they have a roof shade that is supposed to cover the entire full-length moonroof. It does not fit the 2021 revised Model S. It's only for the previous version. It's about a ½ inch short in every dimension, so it does not clip in. And I already contacted Tesla, and they've issued me a return label, and they said, "Oops, sorry." Yeah, they should note that on the website, but they did not. So if you guys plan on buying that, it won't work. But I can tell you for sure that, like I told you guys, I live in a hot area. The radiant heat through that sunroof thing, moonroof thing is incredible, and I hate it. Not so much that I hate the moonroof, it's just too much radiant heat for me in my area, and that's just my personal circumstance. So I tried to get this limo tinted. Nobody would do it. In fact, it just feels like an oven in here right now. It's 107, like I said. It's an oven in here. So, but when I did have that shade up, even though it didn't stay, I kind of held it up there. As they claimed, it did cut a significant amount of heat out. I could immediately tell that there was something up there, and they claimed 2/3 heat reduction. I would say that's fairly accurate. It seemed pretty good. I did 5% ceramic limo tint on the roof of my old Model 3, and that helped tremendously. And my wife's GLE 63, I also did the same thing. I put 5% ceramic limo up there, and that cut out a significant amount of heat in her car as well, because the GLE 63 also has a panoramic roof, but hers opens in addition to being full panoramic, and it came with a roof material colored sunshade that rolls open and closed, and that cuts out some of the heat. But I added the limo tint because she really doesn't like the heat up there either. We just live in too hot a place. I mean, if I lived in by the coast, I'd probably want it to be open all the time, just my personal circumstance. As far as the yoke, we already talked about why I dislike the yoke. In general, I don't mind it so much. I can see the car does have quite a bit of torque steer. I feel a little bit torque steer. I can feel it getting a little squirrely at full acceleration, and it is pretty intense. The Model 3 performance was like that too. So I can understand. I mean, if someone says that they want 2 hands on the wheel for that purpose, I suppose that's good. But you're not doing that 100% of the time. Like, I mean, I'll launch this thing in a crazy way, maybe 20 times at most in the whole year or so that I own it. I tend to have car ADHD, so I get a new Tesla every year. Right now I have 7 cars. I have 3 boys that drive, so I have 7 cars, and I'm constantly flipping out of cars. And just as a FYI, my other daily driver is a 2019 Ford Raptor, which gets probably 10 to 11 miles per gallon in town, maybe 9 on a good day, and 13 miles per gallon, 13 and a half miles per gallon on the highway. So I like to tell people that my carbon footprint is perfectly neutral because I have this thing and then I have the Raptor, and I have another car that I drive as well. But on a side note, on a huge tangent, I have an allocation for the new Raptor R. They redesigned the Raptor for 2020 to 2021, and I was offered an allocation for the new one, but that has the same twin turbo V6 450 horsepower motor, and I didn't want that because I don't like the way it sounds. So I have a buddy that owns a Ford dealership, put myself on. I have allocation number 1 of the Raptor R, which is supposed to be, by all accounts, 760 horsepower up-tuned version of the GT500 supercharged V8, and that's going to be super limited, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's the last hurrah for these big V8s. I think all the manufacturers are announcing they're dropping their big V8s and going with hybrids and, all kinds of different setups. Even Lamborghini has announced they're going to do one more V12, and that's it for Lamborghini V12, normally aspirated V12s. So who knows what the future holds, but I think we're at the heyday of this whole muscle car, high horsepower, big displacement V8 engine renaissance that we've had with the Z06s, the supercharged Cadillacs, the twin turbo this, twin turbo that. I think those days are numbered. So I was either going to get the Ram TRX or the Ford Raptor R, and I kind of decided against the TRX because so many people are having issues with that car. So looking forward to the Raptor R. I mean, I think the gas mileage is going to be horrendous, like 8 to 9 miles per gallon from what I'm hearing on those supercharged V8s. But we'll see. Still looking forward to it. I hate the sound of the Raptor R. Let's see, is there anything else I can touch on this? Somebody mentioned about the handling on this car. This car is super, super smooth, incredibly quiet, a lot smoother than I expected it to be, and that's attributed to the air suspension. I think that's a given that you'd have a better ride with the air suspension, but it's set up in such a way that it's super compliant, but it absorbs all the bumps really well. I think it's really nice. I love it. But the suspension has a nice mode where you can go into advanced, and it allows you to select for handling. You can go full sport, full comfort. For ride comfort, you can go full soft, full firm. And I'm assuming it has to do with it just adjusts everything for you rather than just air pressure in a bladder. There must be some way that it's compensating in other ways, maybe stiffening the roll bars. I don't know. I know BMW and Mercedes do that. So we'll see. But the best thing about the Model 3 that I recall is that it has excellent turn-in. The Model 3 Performance handled quite well. It wasn't adjustable at all, but it had excellent turn-in. The initial turn-in is just super impressive for that car. And this car feels about the same. It's just really comfortable. I haven't really pushed it through the turns, but I don't notice any appreciable lean. Next time, maybe I'll put it in sport mode, and because I do have significant twisties where I have to head out to my office. My office commutes 125 miles each way, and so I go through a really twisted mountainous area, and I think I can easily kind of play with that. I just really don't anymore. But I have had other cars that handle well. I've had 3 Porsches. The last one was a Porsche Turbo. I've had the S63. I had BMW M4. I had, what else did I have? It's all blur. It's been so long. I had a Maserati, which was kind of okay. I mean, we all know about Maseratis. They're not the end-all, be-all. It had the Ferrari California engine in it, but it really wasn't that quick. It sounded great. It wasn't that quick. It had something called a skyhook suspension that was also an air suspension, and it handled okay, but I can't say that it was like as good as the Turbo, of course. But this car is really nice. I think that's the impressive thing about this car. For the weight, it handles just as well as my M4 did, by all recollection, the M4 was a really fun car. I had it modded with a JB4, so I had more horsepower. I had a JB4 tune on it with the downpipe and the exhaust. And so I was pushing, I think, close to 500 horsepower on that car. And it was great. I really loved that car. I just didn't want to get another one because they didn't come out with a new one, and I'm glad I didn't. The new one is really quite, I guess you could say, unsavory. It's really ugly. Those big nostrils. I can't do that car. Okay, back from my tangent. Okay. Love this car, handles great, rides great, really happy with it. The yoke I'm getting used to. It's not a deal breaker, like I said. I just don't think it's as safe as a standard steering wheel. If it's a straight line, need to grab onto the thing. I think I could have held onto a steering wheel just the same. I don't think this contributes anything anymore in terms of safety over a standard steering wheel when you're going in a straight line in crazy acceleration mode. I don't feel like it's any safer. The car's still going to be squirrely a little bit. And it's going to be way too much power for most people anyways. I kind of did a launch in this car today, and my wife got a little upset. Anyways, this is a long video. Bye, guys.